You know what really grinds my gears about modern professional wrestling? The fact that everyone thinks they can predict every single move before it happens, like they've got some crystal ball sitting on their coffee table telling them exactly how storylines will unfold. People sit behind their keyboards acting like they are creative geniuses, claiming they know better than the writers, better than the bookers, better than the performers themselves. But every once in a while, something comes along that's so unexpected, so brilliantly devised, so perfectly timed that it catches everyone completely off guard. And folks, what I'm hearing about Bronson Reed and his potential plans for the upcoming Royal Rumble falls directly into that category. Welcome back to WWE Frenzy, and if this is your first time here, you've picked the perfect video to start with because we're diving deep into one of the juiciest, most controversial rumors circulating through the wrestling world right now. Let me set the stage for you because understanding where we are requires knowing how we got here in the first place. Bronson Reed has been aligned with the Vision, this powerful faction that's been dominating Monday Night Raw for months now. They've been presented as this unstoppable force, this brotherhood of elite athletes who have each other's backs no matter what. Reed has been a cornerstone of this group, using his massive size and devastating offense to obliterate anyone who dares stand in the Vision's path. Week after week, we've watched Reed destroy opponents with tsunami splashes, sentons, and sheer brute force that makes grown men crumble. He's been the enforcer, the muscle, the guy who finishes what the Vision starts. The chemistry between Reed and his faction mates has seemed genuine, organic, like these guys truly respect each other and are committed to a shared goal of total dominance over the Raw brand. But here's where things get interesting, and this is information that's been whispered about in certain circles, discussed behind closed doors, hinted at by people who have their ears to the ground in ways that most fans simply don't. There are strong indications, mounting evidence if you will, that Bronson Reed is planning something that nobody sees coming. The Royal Rumble is rapidly approaching, that spectacular annual event where 30 superstars enter the ring at timed intervals with the goal of throwing everyone else over the top rope until only one person remains standing. It's chaos, it's unpredictable, it's the kind of environment where alliances mean nothing and self-preservation becomes the only thing that matters. And according to sources that have proven reliable in the past, Bronson Reed is going to use that chaos as the perfect cover for betraying the Vision in the most brutal, shocking way imaginable. Now, before you dismiss this as just another internet rumor or baseless speculation, hear me out because there's actual substance behind this theory. Wrestling fans have short memories sometimes, but I remember a conversation I had with a fellow content creator about 6 months ago at a wrestling convention. We were discussing faction dynamics and how WWE historically uses these groups to build stars before eventually breaking them apart through betrayal angles. My friend mentioned something that stuck with me. He said that the most successful heel turns in wrestling history happen when the audience is completely blindsided, when someone they trusted implicitly reveals themselves to be selfish, calculating, and willing to sacrifice anyone for personal gain. Think about Seth Rollins destroying the Shield. Nobody wanted to believe it could happen even though all the pieces were there if you looked closely enough. The beauty of that turn was in its execution, the shock value, the genuine emotional reaction it created from fans who felt betrayed themselves. That's exactly what we're potentially looking at with Bronson Reed. The Vision has dominated to the point where fans are starting to get comfortable with their success. People have accepted Reed as a loyal soldier in this faction, someone who will always prioritize the group over individual glory. But professional wrestling doesn't reward loyalty, it rewards ambition, cunning, and the willingness to seize opportunities when they present themselves. The Royal Rumble represents the ultimate opportunity. Winning that match guarantees you a championship match at WrestleMania, the biggest stage in all of professional wrestling, the showcase of the immortals where legends are made and careers are defined. Are we really supposed to believe that Bronson Reed, a man who has worked his entire life to reach the pinnacle of this industry, is going to step aside and let one of his Vision brothers win that opportunity? Are we supposed to think his content being the muscle, the enforcer, the guy who does the dirty work while someone else gets the glory? I don't buy it for a second, and if you're being honest with yourself, neither should you. Let me share another quick story that illustrates why this makes perfect sense from both a storytelling and business perspective. Back when I first started following wrestling seriously, there was this tag team I absolutely loved. They seemed inseparable, finishing each other's sentences in promos, having perfect chemistry in the ring, defending each other in interviews. I was convinced they'd be together forever. Then one night, completely out of nowhere, one partner hit the other with a steel chair and aligned himself with the very heel faction they'd been fighting against. I was devastated, genuinely upset that this team I'd invested so much emotional energy into had been torn apart. But looking back now, that moment hooked me deeper into wrestling than anything else that year. I had to know why the betrayal happened, what the motivation was, how the other partner would respond. That single angle kept me watching every single week for months. That's the power of a well-executed betrayal, and that's what WWE is reportedly building toward with Bronson Reed. Think about the psychology of it for a minute. Reed enters the Royal Rumble alongside other members of the Vision. Maybe 2 or 3 of them are in the match, working together to eliminate other competitors just like we'd expect. The commentary team talks about how smart this strategy is, how the Vision has the numbers advantage, how they are using teamwork to control the match. Fans at home are nodding along, thinking they've got this all figured out. And then, in one explosive moment that changes everything, Bronson Reed turns on his brothers. Maybe he eliminates one of them when they are not looking. Maybe he teams up with someone from a rival faction to take out the Vision members. However it happens, the result is the same. Reed reveals that his loyalty was always secondary to his ambition, that he was biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The fallout from something like that would be absolutely nuclear. Social media would explode with reactions ranging from shock to anger to admiration for the boldness of the storytelling. The Vision would be left in shambles, forced to regroup and figure out how to respond to this ultimate betrayal from within their own ranks. Reed would instantly be established as one of the most hated heels on Monday Night Raw, a man who stabbed his brothers in the back for personal gain. And here's the brilliant part, here's what makes this potential angle so perfect. Reed already has the look, the moves, and the intensity to be an absolutely incredible solo heel. He doesn't need the Vision to be successful. In fact, breaking away from them in such a vicious manner might be exactly what elevates him from talented mid-card player to legitimate main event star. Consider the opponents Reed could face in the aftermath of this betrayal. Every member of the Vision would want revenge, which creates ready-made feuds that practically write themselves. But beyond that, turning heel opens Reed up to challenge for championships in a way that being part of a faction sometimes limits. Face champions need heel challengers, and a newly turned Bronson Reed claiming that he eliminated his Vision brothers at the Rumble because they were holding him back, because he's tired of sharing the spotlight, because he deserves to be WWE champion and nobody's going to stop him from achieving that goal. That's money right there. That's a character with depth, motivation, and the kind of edge that makes people tune in every week just to see what he'll do next. The timing also makes perfect sense when you consider where we are in the wrestling calendar. The Royal Rumble happens in late January or early February, which gives WWE roughly 2 months to build feuds and storylines heading into WrestleMania. If Reed turns at the Rumble, whether he wins the match or not, you've got plenty of time to develop compelling narratives around that betrayal. Maybe he does win the Rumble and chooses to challenge for a championship at WrestleMania, with members of the Vision doing everything in their power to cost him that opportunity in revenge for his treachery. Maybe he doesn't win but costs one of his former brothers their chance at victory, creating a deeply personal feud that culminates in a brutal match at WrestleMania where both men are trying to destroy each other. Either way, the storytelling possibilities are endless, and that's what you want heading into the biggest wrestling event of the year. There's also a deeper layer to this that I think people aren't talking about enough. Bronson Reed's entire journey in WWE has been about overcoming obstacles, proving doubters wrong, and establishing himself as a legitimate threat despite not fitting the traditional mold of what a WWE superstar looks like. He's not tall and chiseled like some of the other guys on the roster. He doesn't have the bodybuilder physique that WWE has historically favored. What he has is incredible athleticism for a man his size, devastating power, and a mean streak that comes across as completely authentic every time he's on screen. Turning him heel and giving him the freedom to fully embrace that mean streak, to channel all his frustration about being underestimated and overlooked into destroying anyone in his path, that could be the final piece of the puzzle that turns Reed from very good performer into bona fide superstar. I remember watching Reed in NXT and being impressed by his work, but wondering if he'd ever get a real chance on the main roster. WWE has buried talented big men before, using them as monster heels for a few weeks before moving on to the next thing. The fact that Reed has maintained relevance, stayed in prominent storylines, and continued to be featured regularly suggests that management sees something special in him. But being part of the Vision, while it's kept him on television, might also be limiting his ceiling. There's only so high you can rise when you're one member of a faction. Someone has to be the leader, someone has to be the breakout star, and the others risk being seen as supporting players. By betraying the Vision at the Royal Rumble, Reed wouldn't just be turning heel. He'd be declaring that he refuses to be anyone's supporting player, that he's the star, that he's the one who deserves all the accolades and opportunities. Now, I want to address something because I know there are going to be people watching this video who think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, who believe this is all just speculation without any real foundation. And look, I'll be completely transparent with you because that's what this channel is built on. I don't have a direct line to Vince McMahon or Triple H or whoever is making creative decisions for Monday Night Raw. I'm not claiming to have insider information that nobody else possesses. What I do have is pattern recognition, an understanding of how WWE operates, and the ability to connect dots that others might overlook. When you study this company long enough, when you watch how they telegraph major angles through subtle storytelling choices, when you pay attention to the way they position certain performers in certain situations, you start to see the blueprint for what's coming next. And everything about how Bronson Reed has been booked recently suggests that a major character shift is on the horizon. The increased focus on him individually rather than as just another Vision member, the way commentary has started emphasizing his power and ruthlessness more than his loyalty to the faction, the knowing looks he sometimes gives when the Vision celebrates together like he's contemplating something the others aren't aware of yet. These are breadcrumbs, intentional choices made by the production team to plant seeds in the audience's mind so that when the turn happens, people can look back and say they should have seen it coming. That's good storytelling. That's how you execute a swerve that feels surprising in the moment but inevitable in retrospect. Let me throw out a hypothetical scenario for how this could all play out at the Royal Rumble, just to give you a sense of what we might be looking at. Bronson Reed enters the match relatively early, maybe number 8 or 10. He immediately starts dominating, throwing guys around, hitting big moves, establishing himself as a major threat to win the whole thing. Then another Vision member enters, let's say around number 15. They team up, working together to clear the ring of several other competitors. The announcers talk about how smart this strategy is, how the Vision is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Maybe a third Vision member enters later, making their numbers advantage even more pronounced. By this point, maybe it's down to 15 guys left in the match, and 3 or 4 of them are Vision members who seem to have complete control. And then it happens. A big name enters the Rumble, someone the crowd is going crazy for, someone who poses a legitimate threat. The Vision members surround this person, looking like they are going to team up and eliminate this dangerous opponent. The crowd is booing, hating this numbers game, wanting the babyface to somehow overcome the odds. But instead of helping his brothers, Bronson Reed hesitates. The other Vision members are focused on the opponent, not paying attention to Reed. And in that moment of distraction, Reed makes his move. He grabs one of his Vision brothers and throws him over the top rope, eliminating him. The crowd erupts, not sure what they just witnessed. The other Vision members turn around, shocked and confused. Reed has this look on his face, this cold, calculating expression that tells you everything you need to know. He doesn't care about loyalty anymore. He cares about winning, and he eliminates another Vision member before they can even process what's happening. The remaining Vision member or members try to fight back, but Reed is unleashed now, fighting with a viciousness we haven't seen from him before. Maybe he doesn't eliminate everyone himself, maybe some other competitors help finish off the Vision, but the damage is done. Reed has revealed his true colors. He's made it clear that nobody, not even the men he called brothers, is going to stand between him and a WrestleMania main event. Whether Reed goes on to win the Royal Rumble or gets eliminated later by someone seeking revenge for the chaos he caused, the turn itself becomes the defining moment of the match, the thing everyone is talking about when the show ends. Picture the Raw episode that follows. The remaining members of the Vision are furious, demanding an explanation, wanting to get their hands on Reed. Maybe they corner him backstage or in the ring. And Reed, rather than showing remorse or trying to apologize, doubles down. He cuts a promo about how the Vision was always temporary, about how he was using them to position himself for this exact opportunity, about how anyone who thought he was going to sacrifice his dreams for some misguided sense of loyalty is a fool. He tells them they should be thanking him for elevating them, for making them relevant by association, but now he's done carrying them. He's a single star, a main eventer, a future world champion, and he doesn't need anyone's help to achieve his destiny. The crowd is booing him out of the building, throwing trash, losing their minds with hatred for this betrayal. That's the kind of heat you can't manufacture artificially. That's genuine emotional investment from the audience, the kind of reaction that makes for compelling television week after week. And here's something else to consider: a heel Bronson Reed chasing a championship while fighting off revenge-seeking former allies creates multiple storyline layers that keep things interesting. You've got the championship pursuit angle, you've got the faction implosion angle, you've got the personal betrayal angle. That's 3 different stories all happening simultaneously, all interconnected, all contributing to character development and long-term narrative progression. That's sophisticated storytelling that treats the audience like intelligent viewers capable of following complex, multi-layered plots. I genuinely believe that if WWE pulls the trigger on this angle, it could be one of the most talked about moments of the year. The Royal Rumble is already one of the most anticipated events annually, but adding this kind of dramatic betrayal would elevate it even further. People would be sharing clips on social media, debating whether Reed made the right choice, arguing about what the Vision should do in response. Wrestling thrives on conversation, on getting people invested enough to have passionate discussions about characters and storylines. A Bronson Reed heel turn at the Royal Rumble would generate exactly that kind of engagement, and in today's content-driven landscape, engagement is everything. So here's what I want from you, and this is important for the growth of this channel and the community we're building together. First, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're covering every development in this story as it unfolds. When that Royal Rumble happens, I'm going to have a live reaction and immediate breakdown video posted within hours. You're not going to want to miss that analysis, especially if this Reed betrayal actually goes down the way I'm predicting. Second, destroy that like button to let YouTube's algorithm know that people care about this content so it gets pushed to more wrestling fans who need to see it. And third, most importantly, leave a comment right now telling me whether you think Bronson Reed is actually going to betray the vision at the Royal Rumble or if I'm completely off base here. Do you think this turn makes sense? Do you want to see it happen? Would you prefer Reed stay loyal to the faction? I read every single comment and your perspectives shape future content on this channel. The beauty of professional wrestling is that it mirrors real life in certain ways. People betray each other for personal gain all the time. Friendships crumble under the weight of ambition and jealousy. Trust becomes a weapon that others use against you. Bronson Reed turning on the vision wouldn't just be a shocking wrestling angle. It would be a reflection of human nature, a story about what happens when someone decides that their individual success matters more than collective achievement. That's relatable. That's a story that resonates beyond just wrestling fans. And that's why, if this angle happens, it's going to work so incredibly well. We're living in an era where wrestling fans think they've seen everything, where cynicism and jaded attitudes prevent people from truly enjoying the product because they are too busy criticizing every decision. But every so often, WWE reminds us why we fell in love with this crazy, dramatic, larger-than-life form of entertainment in the first place. They give us a moment that makes us feel something genuine, that surprises us despite our best efforts to predict everything, that creates memories we'll be talking about for years. I truly believe that Bronson Reed's potential betrayal of the vision at the Royal Rumble could be one of those moments. It could be the angle that reinvigorates Monday Night Raw heading into WrestleMania season, that creates new stars, that gives us fresh matchups and feuds we didn't even know we wanted. The countdown to the Royal Rumble is on. Every week that passes brings us closer to finding out whether this theory has merit or whether I'm going to have to eat crow and admit I got worked by circumstantial evidence and wishful thinking. But based on everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing, and everything I understand about how WWE operates, I'm putting my reputation on the line right here and now. Bronson Reed is turning heel at the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be absolutely spectacular. Remember where you heard it first, remember that WWE Frenzy called this before anyone else, and when it happens, come back to this video and let me know in the comments that we witnessed the beginning of something special together. Thank you so much for watching, for engaging, for being part of this incredible community of passionate wrestling fans. I'll see you in the next video where we continue breaking down all the latest WWE news, rumors, and analysis. Until then, keep the conversation going, keep supporting the channel, and never stop being passionate about the greatest form of entertainment ever created.